New Orleans is not only defined by Mardi Gras or the Catholic Church. There is a vast storyline of American history that has unfolded up and down the Mississippi River.
I'm Patricia Corral. I'm a park ranger at Chalmette Battlefield here in New Orleans. The Battle of New Orleans was important for a lot of different reasons. Many historians believe the battle was the birthplace of the American identity. It was a place where a lot of different cultural groups unified under the leadership of Andrew Jackson to defend the city of New Orleans from the British. What is cool about the War of 1812 is that it's the forgotten war. It's sandwiched in between the Revolutionary War and between the Civil War, the war between the states. And so a lot of people don't know about the forgotten war. But in fact, it was a really important war because the War of 1812 showed the world that the U.S. was an independent nation and had become a world power.
New Orleans was an important city to control because of its location at the mouth of the Mississippi River. The British knew that if they could capture New Orleans, they would be able to cut off a major American supply line.
The city of New Orleans is technically about 90 miles from the mouth of the river, but as you go downriver from New Orleans to the Gulf, there really isn't a lot of dry land where you can build a city. So New Orleans is it. It's the place where you can regulate trade that comes up and down the river.
The British were hoping to cut off this trade, which would have had a severe impact on the U.S., but they met with fierce opposition from an unlikely army. General Andrew Jackson took command of the defenses. 5,000 soldiers from several of the western states and territories, as well as a little naval assistance from a pirate named Jean Lafitte. Lafitte and Jackson agreed to work together in exchange for a U.S. pardon for Lafitte's men captured during a previous raid. Working together, they squared off against over 7,500 British soldiers in what became the Great Battle of New Orleans and a deciding victory for the U.S.
The Battle of New Orleans made Andrew Jackson famous because against the odds, he was able to defend the city of New Orleans from the British. A lot of people look at his troops as a ragtag army. His troops that came down from Tennessee, his Tennessee militia, had already followed him in other battles, and they had given him the nickname Old Hickory because of his strength and his charismatic personality.
A visit to Chalmette Battlefield lets you walk in the footsteps of the soldiers that fought in the Battle of New Orleans. Self-guided walking tours, monuments, and specialized videos in the Visitor Center helps to paint the picture of what life was like in the early 1800s. The battle is also a main stop for many of the riverboat tours that depart from the city of New Orleans.